Hi again, folks. It's Murray Powell with Tribal Outdoor Gear Limited. As I mentioned last time, our final design for the sled was a high-density polyethylene sled with a high-strength tempered aluminum frame and a retractable wheel. Key features are locking headset and a ball and socket connection high on the harness. After our design refinements, we got the total weight of the tribal trailer down to 9 kilograms with a smaller wheel, and even less if you take the wheel off if you're going to be traveling in conditions where you know there's not going to be any bare ground, you're on snow for the whole journey. So what are the best applications for the tribal trailer? Well, moving efficiently through wilderness terrain requires the right tool for the job. You don't use a road bike on a mountain bike trail, and you don't use skate skis in the backcountry. The tribal trailer is not for every terrain. It works best for trails and terrain with an average slope gradient of 10%, or less than 15% anyway. The slope gradient is the elevation gain divided by the distance as a percent. So you can, if you have a map that shows an elevation profile for the trail, you can calculate that. That covers a lot of trips. In the Rockies, that would include Red Earth Creek, Mount Robson, Berg Lake Trail, Mount Assiniboine from either Shark Mountain or from Sunshine. It would include most of the Arctic traverses on Baffin Island, Wiyutak National Park, for example. It would include the Chilkoot Trail in the Yukon, but I wouldn't use a tribal trailer on the West Coast Trail. It's on Vancouver Island. The trail's too rough in the south end, and I wouldn't use it for most of the trails in Kootenay National Park, where the trails are too steep and too rough for efficient use of a trailer. I would also avoid using it on the corrugated, horse-rutted trails in Banff National Park at Flint Park on the eastern slopes. Another consideration is the maximum steepness. It's surprising how steep of an obstacle you can drag the trailer over in wheel mode, but if you encounter an extended section of trail with a grade more than 20%, it may be more efficient to adapt. One option would be to strap the load and the trailer to the harness and carry the whole thing pack style. The spine of the harness can be removed, and there's D-rings as lash points on the edge of the harness. The other option, if the steep section is near your final destination, would be to lock the trailer in the woods and mark the location by GPS and pick it up on the way back. But when you use the tribal trailer in the appropriate manner for the conditions it's best suited for, it makes a huge difference. You finish the day feeling much less fatigued, with happier knees, happier back, and obviously for winter and glacier trips, a sled or a pulk is practically mandatory for a trip longer than a week. And the same goes for a desert trip where you have to carry a lot of water. There is a learning curve with a trailer or a sled. You develop techniques as you go. For example, I like to turn and grab the pole when going over a step to make it smoother. I like to turn sideways and hold the shoulder straps tight to my back when descending a steep slope. And for those reasons, I don't use hiking poles in wheel mode, but that's an individual choice. There's also some surging to get used to when pulling any trailer or sled. One of the things we did is we installed a wide back plate on the spine of the harness to spread the load and make that more comfortable. But when you're using the trailer, spend some time adjusting the headset angle and the length of the pole, and by doing so you affect the clearance between your feet and the front of the basket. You affect the load distribution, you affect the balance, the maneuverability, and the amount of swinging. You can even change that. The quick release mechanisms make adjustments quick and easy, and you may find yourself adjusting as terrain changes. You may shorten the pole or lengthen the pole depending on whether you're going uphill or downhill. Safety is always a concern in the mountains. You need to be responsible for assessing your own safety. Make sure you can handle the weight of the trailer given the situation and that it won't pull you off the trail if it slides off the trail itself. Skiing with a sled is challenging. You must have excellent ski skills without a sled before attempting to ski with one. Test your ability with the trailer in a low consequence location. Another factor to consider is that the telescopic pole can separate if the quick releases aren't tight enough. They have to be quite tight, but if you're in a place where your gear could disappear into a canyon, for example, you may want to attach a safety cord connecting the front of the basket or the sled to a D-ring on your harness as a backup. Regarding packing, the weight is everything mantra still applies with a trailer or a sled. If you need to haul a turkey or a case of wine into Elizabeth Parker Hut for Christmas, you can do that, but don't expect it to be necessarily easy. In any event, keep the heavy items low and towards the back. Make sure to tighten the straps so the load doesn't shift. And if the basket's hanging at an angle in wheel mode, move the load more towards the center and retighten the straps. We designed the system to be field repairable. If the pole should break, for example, it can be, the sled can be pulled using cord. Or if you're in wheel mode, you can actually join the front of the basket to the harness using carabiners at the front of the basket and pull it as a mono wheel. The main thing we've learned in Arctic trips is if something goes wrong, stay calm, assess the situation, make repairs, improvise. We can recommend spare parts and tools, but so far, the one thing that hasn't happened in any of our prototype testing is nothing is broken. I think we may have got it right the first time, but who knows? That's about it for now. Feedback is always appreciated. We're a small and nimble company. We're a startup, so design changes are easy to make at this stage. And apart from that, hope to see you at the Calgary Outdoor Adventure and Travel Show, March 21st, 2020.